and they fell really, really far behind. Game 2, however, I want to see if Unicorns can bounce back. It's been a rough 2 weeks for them. And if you're Misfits, you just had a break and you come back and you play like this in your first game, the confidence, it's definitely still there, and the momentum is in their favor.
Absolutely. And of course, for Unicorns, it was a disappointing IAM, so now that disappointment continues. Shock said it on the analyst desk. Is the honeymoon period over? That's a topic I want to discuss in
Is ours, Trevor? That is the bigger question.
Our honeymoon's never over, baby. Misfits and Unicorns of Love. In game 1, Draven and Zillion was banned from UOL to Misfits. What would we need to see happen to see one of those champions for Misfits this game?
I mean, you can see something like a Malzahar early pick from Unicorns, and Zillion comes in the second rotation as a counter from... Sorry, Unicorns pick Malzahar, Misfits counter with Zillion in like second phase. That is where I can see them use it. Funny enough, Unicorns didn't draft anything that was actually that impacted by a Zillion. So them banning it in the first game, like hindsight 2020, was like actually not necessary. But that's how draft phase works, because you adapt to whatever the bans are, and Unicorns just wanted to get rid of that pocket pick. Now, very standard, LeBlanc being banned, meaning that Misfits didn't want to risk having to trade her for something else, getting her as a first pick. Even though Power Vivo is a good LeBlanc player, they wanted to get the highest priority AD carry on the table.
All right, where does Samux go? Jhin is off the table, Varus
Ashe or
is
Sivir.
banned out.
Ashe or Sivir is what I want to see in Europe. I think both of them add a ton of utility, and especially if you are the Unicorns of Love, Samux adds a lot of value when he plays utility. Like speed up from Sivir, arrow from Ashe. I don't think, Ezreal would have been a good choice, so I like this decision from them. Malzahar is now up there, you know, as like this potential next pick, or Graves are the ones I'm looking at. Problem with the Malzahar is then the potential Zillion.
All right, so Zillion is on the table. Malzahar not selected yet.
But now Misfits can just go Malzahar.
I'm happy to see Xerxes with another shot at Graves. We never really got a chance to see how he performed on that champion because the game fell apart around him, maybe before he could have an impact. Cacal's going to say, I see you, Graves. I raise you a Lee Sin. Early game jungler looking to have those fights. And Rumble locked in here for Alfari in the top lane, blind.
We see this more and more. Earlier today in LCK, in the KT versus SKT series, we saw quite a lot of Rumble as well being picked, both by Smep and Huni. And not to spoil too much, Huni's Rumble. Ooh, that was on point. But you should go watch it if you haven't seen it yet. And it's honestly because a lot of these Rumble top laners are like, yeah, you know what? No matter what this guy picks against me, I can survive that lane. And then my mid-game and late-game team fighting is just so impactful. Now, our boy Chachi, or I guess my boy Chachi, so my boy Chachi has shown Gnar against Rumble before. It's not banned so far. The pesky Zillion is being removed instead. I think we're going to see a Gnar from Chachi in the second rotation.
All right, Gnar from Chachi. Then where do the support go for Misfits? Where does Ignore want to run into this Malzahar with Zillion gone, Tom Kench gone as well, Zyra?
Zyra, you can easily still play Zyra against. You can play Karma. Like, it's not like there's no supports left, because the support pool is quite huge at the moment. Now that some of the top supports got nerfs, the bottom supports obviously just kind of benefited from that, and they were already still fine. They were just not as good as the S tiers, which was Zyra and Malzahar, before any nerfs came in, and then MF as a counter to those two. MF is another possibility for Ignore if you want to play it, and also because it's him, Thresh. Ah, they banned the Gnar. Never mind, he can't play it now.
The thing is though,
that counts.
This is good picks and bans from Misfits. In game 1, the Zillion comes out, they have a first rotation Malzahar, maybe that surprises UOL. Game 2, the Gnar into Rumble, something that Chachi not only has run in the past, but you were anticipating it to Fishio. So where does Chachi go with it now? Safe lock-in, Exile's going to get his Orianna. Pretty well-rounded team comp here for Unicorns. Has to be a tank.
I mean, you would think that, but Rumble does well against a lot of these tanks. But again, you can say, you know what, I'm fine losing the lane because I get a tank for team fights. Nautilus is a fine pick then for Unicorns of Love if they want it. Poppy not so much, and Shen does have some problems against it. And ooh, some Ahri again. We saw this from Perks during IEM against Orianna here. Can be a bit of a tricky laning phase if Orianna gets straight to her Morello fairly quickly. But Ahri has so much snowball potential. So
much damage. I mean, Perks looked like a phenomenal player on that champion at IEM. Power of Evil's going to be in that shadow for now, and Ignar is going to lock in The Alistair, that's the first time for him this split, adding to a very large collection of champions.
But not the first time we see someone play it against Malzahar. Che did exactly the same a few weeks ago. Basically at level 6, you can't really ulti the Alistar because he has his own ulti, so he just pops that. And then Alistar can actually face check against Malzahar comms. And if Malzahar tries to lock him down, boom, you can just go straight for him.
Next level strategy, Deficio. Pick a champion that can face check and live.
Hey, that's what Alistar can do. Not as effective as in the past when his ulti was insanely overpowered. It is slightly weaker now, but it's still very, very strong. So there's definitely value there. His laning phase, not the greatest.
Well, not in theory, not the greatest, but Ignar's laning phase is pretty good.
Yeah. But this should be a lane in favor of the Unicorns of Love. Top lane should be in favor of Misfits with the Rumble, so we might see the same kind of situation where Misfits move towards top side early with Kakao and Alfari together to try and shut down Chachi, who's on this Maokai, this big tank. And bot lane then, Samuks cannot make the same mistakes. Unicorns have to be able to control the bottom side of the map. It'll just be a bit harder to dive than normally because you're against Alistar.
Oh, going to be so fun to watch.
I mean, I love this pick on man phase. So many fun picks now.
It's really nice that the pressure is lopsided, right? That obviously Misfits have pressure in the top lane into UOL, UOL into the bot lane, and now it's on Kakao and Xerxes to leverage. Where do they use that pressure? Deficio, we were talking about tanks in the top lane versus carries in the top lane, and I want to have that discussion in game around how it can impact the early game. Xerxes, the man on your screen, going up against Kakao.
I mean, come on, he just
picked
me in.
Always happy.
It can't be that funny.
Man is always happy. It's Misfits 1-0 up against the Unicorns of Love. Jump on Twitter, let us know who you think will win. You know the hashtags by now. In my opinion, this is the battle for second place. Misfits still have to prove it against H2K, but on series score alone, they will hold that position.
And if you are the kind of person who just watches the VODs and you started straight at game 2, then shame on you. Go back and watch game 1 because Misfits played some great League of Legends. This game now, we want to see the same from Misfits, but we also want to see Unicorns really show up in the early game. Try and match what Misfits are doing and then get to these late game team fights because look what they drafted. Team fighting mage, team fighting AD carry, team fighting top laner in the Maokai. Like, this is a comp from Unicorns that if they do not fall behind, they can win these late game fights.
Oh, but what a big if.
It's a big if.
If they do not fall behind, didn't you just say at the beginning of the series how many times UOL have fallen behind in the last 3 weeks?
That's true. And clearly they think they can survive early on, which is why they are accepting these late game scaling champions. Maybe they identified exactly what went wrong in the early game last time and said, you know what, we don't need to change a whole lot. We just need to not make that one mistake against Misfits. But I think Misfits just had multiple good plays, which is why they got the advantage, and not just one play here and there.
Multiple good plays, and that's what Misfits will be looking to do again. Flash Ignite for Power of Evil in the mid lane on that Ahri into Exile's Orianna. Once they get closer to 6, I want to see how that works out. Of course, it is 7.4 Maokai. Lost a little bit of damage on those saplings, and Xerxes getting a helping hand.
Yeah, lost some damage, got more mana cost on his Q as well. Does really affect his laning phase quite a lot. He's much weaker there. Now, what we see from Xerxes here is what some of these European teams have learned at IEM. By playing against Rocks Tigers and Flash Rolls, it's Raptor start for the jungler because the Raptors give so much experience, so you want to kill them early so they respawn faster and you can get them in a second rotation, which gives you a bit of an XP advantage. And also, you might be able to contest the enemy Raptors, and then you suddenly get experience advantage in the jungle, you get all the pressure, and then you can start snowballing your lanes. This is what Casa did so effectively, the Rocks Tigers did it so effectively against a lot of European teams. And that is exactly what they did here. That's why the sapling start as well, to speed up the Graves. This is Operation Get Xerxes ahead in experience. So he can take over the jungle matchup, and he decides then who's dying in what lane, and not Kakao.
We'll have to find out if Xerxes has all the ammunition required to make those plays work. He's currently about to clear his own camp. Looks like he's going for the Rift Scuttler, as Kakao's about to clear his own jungle just once. And look at Xerxes coming in for the Raptors.
We just talked about them going for enemy Raptors. He's level 3 with double buff. Look at mid lane. Exile has been hard pushing the mid lane, so he can roam if needed. You can see the wave now. Power Weaver moving down, but so is Orianna. And just...
Is it worth for a flash?
No, it's technically not worth for the flash. Like, there you can maybe argue timing is like 1 second off. Like, the wave had 2 minions left. Had those 2 minions died, the wave would have gone to the tower and Power Weaver couldn't have moved. And then suddenly it would have been worth it. So, small seconds. I like that we see the play. It's what I like to call the IM meta, that somebody seems to went there, have now kind of picked up and learned, and will start doing more and more. You see it in LCK quite a lot. And it is a very effective strategy, almost paid off for Unicorns here.
It's really good, seeing an understanding of the meta, seeing an understanding of the decision-making. Just a few mistakes in the execution, timing-wise and pressure, right?
Yeah, it was just literally like 2 minions there. That meant Power Weaver could move in, and Xerxes maybe could have backed off a little bit earlier when Power Weaver left, and then he wouldn't have had to flash.
All right, Tefisio, 1-0 in favor of Misfits. The Unicorns of Love and Misfits, they're quite polar opposites when it comes to the likes of your average deaths per game, as well as your game time. Take a look at some of these numbers very quickly. Misfits on average 7.4 deaths per game. That's the least in the league. Unicorns of Love 13.4 with a shorter game time.
And that is really the insane thing, how Misfits play the second longest games in Europe. G2 plays the longest. And then they die so few times per game. It's crazy. Last game we saw the same.
Because they're so clean.
They are clean. They're clean. They play methodical.
Look at this.
Getting caught.
I thought this was a matchup Ignar and Hans Summer couldn't win. Can they win it? A lot of damage onto Ignar. What summoner spells use? Exhaust, heal versus heal. And chant of unicorns from the crowd as Hans Summer and Ignar, they're looking to play aggressive. Ignar keeps posturing on the front foot. Not enough, though.
Oh,
Level 6, not available just yet. Charm into Ignite. Exhaust traded as well. Foxfire, end of the line, and Power of Evil sidesteps.
Oh, sadly for Xerxes, he didn't have that flash. He couldn't have flashed in and finished off Power of Evil. Ends up just having to see the Ahri escape. Exile saved his flash, very important for potential next gank. Ahri is getting her level 6, though. She can play a bit more, you know, back in the lane and just use ulti defensively in case she gets ganked. But a good answer here from Unicorns. Sadly, this operation gets Xerxes really far ahead in experience. Has been slowed down quite a bit, and the junglers are even at the moment. Even if I do click at him, Kakao is halfway through the 5. Xerxes, almost 5, so he's slightly ahead at this point.
Marginally ahead. Thanks to Operation Get Xerxes ahead by focusing Raptor camps in both jungles.
Yes, that's basically it.
We'll have to get an acronym for that mission name, because I don't want to say that every time. But yeah, I mean, look at the CS, by the way. Hans Summer and Samux currently even. Hylissang and Samux doing what they can to slow down Hans Summer, but obviously fairly long range, fairly safe farming.
And it's only going to get better for Misfits when it comes to this Alistar. Like, Alistar is still a good scaling support. It is not as effective as it has been in the past. We've had a lot of those today, Trey. I'm just pulling you down with me right now. I'm pulling you straight down there. That's because of you I made that
Maybe it's
mistake.
lunch. Maybe lunch made us tongue-tied.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Anyhow,
so Alistar, we'll talk about him later because Alfari's going to get rooted in place. I take it back. I got excited. I thought Miaokai was going in. Vizichachi didn't want to overcommit.
There are these like rules where if you have a tank top, you only want to gank frame pre-6. After 6, you got to focus bot lane and TP, and that's what Misfits is doing right now.
Teleport coming down. Hylissang is rooted in place. Alfari's coming out. Ignar fails the pulverize. First blood picked up by Hans Summer. There's a Chachi can't TP away, and Power of Evil gets a kill into Samux.
Ignar just wanted to be in the picture when they killed someone for first blood. That's why he flashed in and knocked into the ground. But Misfits with the correct play. TP advantage. Focus bottom side. I'm not sure why Xerxes was even top lane. Not worth it at that point. You gotta protect your bottom lane. And suddenly, Misfits picks up 2 kills. Instantly, that's gonna be first tower. Let's see what happens with the mid tower here.
Yeah, mid and top, both under pressure from Unicorns of Love. Xerxes and Exile, they should be able to take that one down. It looks like Power of Evil's racing to the lane. I don't think he's gonna get there, Deficio.
No, that's a tower then for Unicorns. Top tower took quite some damage as well from the Maokai. Oh, you gotta be careful now, Power of Evil.
Oh, a few more hits there. Power of Evil does back away. Okay, so some props to Unicorns here, at least, to get the mid tower. Top tower, Chachi's doing a lot of work, but look at the setup here with Kakao and PoE.
I mean, it's just there. Again, you push in bottom side, you roam down mid, you have TP as well. So it's a lot invested. I think what you can argue here is if teleport is needed or not. Yes, it's part of them getting the second kill, but it does mean top lane tower is now taking a ton of damage. It means mid lane tower went down, not because of teleport, but obviously because they invested 5 members to take those 2 kills. Inferno Drake will be pretty huge here for Unicorns to try and even it out. But the 2 kills with the first blood still in favor of Misfits.
Well, this is already a better start to the game for the Unicorns of Love. Got a tower in the mid lane. They've got themselves that Infernal Drake, some scaling.
And they've trade now.
On a team composition that scales as well. But in Misfits, they're already at the tower. Unicorns going to be slower to that objective.
Yeah, it is going to be a trade, though. I don't think Misfits is far enough ahead in tempo to kind of take a second tower with it. So actually got to make sure to take down this one. There's no TP from Alfari, though, to go down and defend. And you can see already now Maokai's top to make sure a second tower doesn't die, which is also why Xerxes recalled. Just to make sure that Misfits, who are ahead on the play, can't get two towers for it, because Rave's wave clear is obviously very, very strong.
Let's go back to that discussion from Picks and Bans on a carry top versus a tank top. Tank top is kind of the, dare I say, preferred, maybe marginally preferred style at the moment.
I mean, it's in Europe, yes. I think, again, if you go back to like SKT versus KT series, there's a lot of Rumble top, like absolute top teams in the world can definitely execute these like non-tank comps, but they are typically harder to play. I think Misfits have kind of made up for it a little bit by drafting Alistar, and even Lee Sin you can add in as a bruiser. So they're actually not running without a tank, even though they have Rumble top, which should still make it a bit easier for them to then play that comp. But generally, it is easier to play these like tank top comps, because you can play team fights where you kind of hide behind your big tank in the front. The tank tends to add some hard engage as well, which makes it easier to force fights for some teams that don't play perfect League of Legends, which is basically every team in the world except for KT and SKT at the moment. So that is something we see from a lot of these guys, but it does obviously mean that you have a lane less to play around. Like, you can play around a Rumble lane much more effective than a Maokai lane.
Yeah.
But Maokai's team fighting is just so valuable, and you don't need to put resources into him. You can put those resources on Orianna. On
the assumption they find the right fights, because of course Alfari's team fighting on Rumble, different style of impact, yet still equally as impactful.
Yeah.
A lot of squishies on that back line. I'm looking at the mini-map, and Misfits are starting to group up. Very good charm onto Exile. Curtain Call plus Cacao. Exile's Exile to the base.
Power of Evil is one of the most improved players this split. We didn't really like what he showed us, or what he showed us last year, especially not in the summer split on Origin, but to be fair, most of the members were underperforming. This year in Misfits, man, this guy's on fire. He's playing so well. Team fight.
Vizichachi, you've got no help. Where's the rest of the team? Equalizer comes down. Ignore from behind. Cacao's going to get locked down. Another charm onto Hylissang. Cacao survives with the safeguard. Ignore started the fight, and Ignore will end the fight. 1 for 1.
1 for 1. Mid lane tower is very low, however. Power of Evil still sitting here. Blue buff, no ulti just yet. Exile is returning to save the tower.
Gonna go back to that Power of Evil point. Yes, one of the most improved, and he's had some strong words about how the environment is just better suited to him at the moment on Misfits, talking about the team.
I mean, I feel like we hear this from every single Misfits player right now, how it is just a really good organization and team to play for. Even the gaming house is fantastic if people haven't seen the video on their YouTube. Exile here gets charmed up and dies. He does have flash, but realizes that once he's already tagged, that he's not going to get out, and he dies. It's one of those situations like either flash the first skill shot, or then you can't flash at all. Fight though going in, and this is where Ignore is actually flanking behind, but Chachi on this tank is able to dive in, buy a lot of time here, flash back defensively, and then trade 1 for 1.
Felt like no one from UOL was able to get in though. You know, Chachi engaged, and there was not enough safety necessarily.
Well, it's supposed to be
to get the damage down.
Chachi engages, he gets a ball on him that shockwaves, but the Orianna was dead before the fight even started.
Yeah, ball delivery system ran out of gas, unfortunately.
Well, it ran out of basically the ball you were supposed to deliver, so it's like a postman just showing up without a package for you, and he's just kind of standing there.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, I'm just here, you know. Kind of useless.
Yeah, it is kind of useless, unfortunately for UOL. But it is still an even game. It's 4 kills to 1. Unicorns have a tower advantage. They have a dragon advantage. So Fisher, I want to take a closer look at that mid lane matchup, because of course Exile just died in the mid lane. Power of Evil's had some fantastic charms. Game 1, I mean, the numbers could not be much more different at 15 minutes.
Yeah.
1,300 gold, 7-0-10 at 15 minutes.
Wait, that was the score at 5th? No way.
That's all game. That's all game.
Oh, okay.
Stats team has just informed me that was the all game KDA. Thank you for that one, gentlemen.
Damn, that would be like a record if you got so many kills.
I was like, I knew they were ahead. Damn.
Damn, that was impressive. No, Power of Evil, fantastic game. Didn't even die. Loved his itemization, getting ninja tab and everything. We talked so much about it. And just, again, the guys become consistent. He plays a lot of different things now, introducing the Ahri from his side. He even showed Rise 2 weeks ago, which is something we haven't really seen from him in the past as a pick coming in. So overall, Power of Evil doing well.
Power of Evil doing well with the team. Thank you, observers, for the vision toggle. Unicorns.
Let's switch it.
Unicorns still working on some of that vision.
They got to control water in the river.
Okay,
two
so
now.
Two. Step in the right direction.
Yeah.
2 more than they had in the previous game, and it's an even game. So this is already like a step in the right place. 30 seconds to Drake, and they've got a pretty good team fight comp with the ball delivery system.
Very true. Misfits was still very much in the driving seat here when it came to the vision. Power of Evil might get caught out.
All right, flash engage from Hillesang. Ash Arrow as well, locks him down.
That's four ultis.
My word!
Unicorns! They remember that he left them.
Unicorns fear their horns.
And
that's what it feels like. This should be a safe dragon. Should be.
That was so cool, man. Well timed on 4 ultis. TP on Alphari. Misfits not really around to contest. They will give the Mountain Drake over. So Unicorns of Love, Scaling Comp, Mountain Drake, Infernal Drake. This game
is a recipe for success.
Yeah, it's wide open right now, despite the small advantage in gold for Misfits. The comp is so strong from Unicorns later.
Hold on, we've said this a bunch. Unicorns are pretty good at what was that thing they're pretty good at?
Magic?
No, not chaos.
Chaos, no.
Team fighting.
Oh, I was gonna say Tilt Him Monte Cristo. But
that too. But like they've got a team fighting comp that's gonna scale pretty well. They're even. They're ahead in Dragons. Exile got his first kill of the game. Yes, the previous game was the first time all split he had no kills at all. So everything is looking up. Yeah, that is really. Thank you, Stats team, for buzzing me for that update.
At 15 minutes or okay?
You don't have to troll me now. You don't have to troll me now.
All right.
Let's look. What do you all have to do ahead? Because their vision is slowly creeping forward.
It is now. They've finally gotten some wards down. I like the Tracker Snipe on Xerxes as well. They even have 2 trinkets that can help supply more wards. I really feel like she'd be out there being like, guys, come on, vision, vision, vision. Chachi getting caught out. Power of Evil joining as well, but the Maokai gets to walk out. So Chachi's not the one you play around if you're Unicorns. You're a 4-man group with pick potential. Malzahar, ulti, arrow as well. That's what you want.
There's a lot of damage coming in at the line. Isn't going to tag onto anyone. Curtain Call is pulled. Double knockup from Ignar. The shockwave catches Kakao as he's forced to run away. Hillesang loses his life as Vizichachi's surrounded by 5 Misfits. The Rabble Rouser is gonna find one before he's shut down. It's a double kill for Alphari.
See what else we can get here. Believe Unicorns will just walk away. But as I said before here, the 4-man group of Unicorns with the Ashe and the Malzahar to create these picks. It's what they need, but they gotta defend this tower.
He's gotta do it. Flash Charm! Exile is caught out! Another one for PoE!
Exile like 2 seconds left on Flash, and then Power of Evil gets him. It is up now, just when he died. Flash came back. So, engage onto Alphari here, but they can't really follow up. They need that Malzahar ulti. No Flash from Hillesang though. Good combo from Ignar. The flank coming in because Misfits were making that play top just before. And ends up being heavily in their favor. And if you just keep getting kills and kills and kills, like Power of Evil, he doesn't die, he just racks up multiple kills. Game 1, game 2 now, you get that confidence to go for these flash plays. And then he suddenly pulls it off and he hits Exile.
Look, there's a dude that doesn't need a whole lot more confidence.
His head is growing as well.
Ignar is one of the sort of like sleeper players from a public and a social media standpoint. He looked so good in Challenger last split, you know, building Proto Belt on Alistair, Proto Belt on Taric. And there wasn't a huge amount of hype for him coming into this split. It was about like Hansama.
I'd say there was some.
Of course there was, but there wasn't the same as the likes of Kakao, as the likes of Hansama and Alphari to an extent. But he's just consistently showing up on every single champion. And Ignar is fast becoming one of the best supports in Europe.
Yeah, he is the support in Europe with the most Play of the Series awards, and now another fight.
Chachi gets charmed in place. Ignar's got a flash available. Looking for a target, pulverizes Hilly to interrupt the Nethergrass, but Unicorns, they turn it around. The damage dealers can't kill a Unicorn, but Xerxes gets himself more. Ignar and Hansama run for their lives.
Remember when we talked about having these tanks in team fights, how effective it is when you can hide behind them? Chachi tanked up 3 or 4 members and then boom, Exile with the shockwave onto 2 members.
Are they getting an inhibitor? It's 20-second death timer for Power of Evil. 10, 15 for Cacao. The tower's going to fall. Unicorns of Love, they turn onto the inhibitor. There's no one to defend. It's 18 minutes into the game, and the Unicorns have got supers.
Alfari has teleport, but no ulti on the Rumble. So I'm not sure he's going to use it. No, he just saves it. Look at this fight here. So they siege in on the turret. They get engaged. This is just fine for Misfits so far. Chachi ends up tanking off. They're all hiding behind Chachi at this point. And then look at the shockwave. Boom, 2 members, Alfari and Cacao. Squishy at this point. They go down, and now there's nothing left for Misfits. Hansama was charging up the ulti from distance to be like, let's get 1 kill. It ended up being a full-blown fight, and then the Jhin was obviously super far away. And just a great shockwave from Exile. I think both these mid laners here, they're really trying to carry against each other. Unicorns, they tweeted about it, you know?
They absolutely did. The new German versus the old German for the Unicorns of Love. And despite Power of Evil having really an exceptional Ahri game so far, he's hit nearly... Actually, no, I think he has hit every charm when skirmishes have gone on. Unicorns have got super minions in the bottom lane. It's not even 20 minutes in. There's not even a Baron to play for.
And now that Unicorns have gotten these kills, they're starting to get in control of the map. The thing they didn't have in game 1 at all. They have some vision down. They can actually see something. And as I said before with this Ashe Malzahar, like, the pick potential is in your favor now to just lock down 1 target. QSS from Power of Evil, because he knows when he jumps in, Hylissang is going to look for him. That's gone now. You can't really ulti the Alistar either. And Hylissang will start running out of targets.
This game becomes a really interesting case study. In game 1, Unicorns were unable to get vision when playing from behind. Now Misfits, how do they get vision when they have less map control? It's even in the game state with kills and gold. But with super minions on the bottom lane, it means Misfits have another thing they have to worry about.
Let's just remember though that if Unicorns are trying to set up the same like little trap near Baron, you can send in the Alistar. Like, Alistar can go in and face check. It's what he's here for. This is apparently the purpose of a cow, is to go in first and just face check.
Bull.
A bull,
yeah,
sorry.
Because remember, you can't milk those.
That's true, it's true.
So,
That's a great point.
There's some solo queue tips for you. If face checking is your thing, play Alistar.
Definitely play Alistar.
You can survive face checks.
Maokai works as well, if you like face checking.
Okay.
Generally, tanks are great for that. It does normally require that your team follows.
Okay.
Like, you can't just face check on your own.
Oh, right,
then you tend to do that.
I didn't know step 2. I only know step 1.
Step 1 was there. You're right, you're right.
All right, Unicorns are going to concede some of their vision control around the Baron side of the river, but they get another dragon. Game 1, Misfits secured 3 Cloud Drakes. They were floating on Cloud 9. Unicorns of Love get 2 Infernals and a Mountain, and the next one's Mountain as well.
I know. This is a good game to get the dragons for Unicorns.
May the odds ever be in your favor.
Very true, very true. If you get a game 3, Trev, maybe Karma will bounce back in favor of Misfits. Now the fight! Oh!
Power of Evil caught out.
He QSS too early.
Yeah, he did, and then just stood there.
Yeah.
But there was no one around. Chachi just using that Vengeful Maelstrom to get out to safety. 3-1 and 2. Very beefy and tanky. Got Sunfire Cape, Spectre's Cowl. Yes?
Yeah?
I'm waiting for you.
Oh, I thought you were listening to fights him. So
I was going to, but then you got excited and I thought,
No. I was going to talk about Power of Evil has 70-second cooldown on his ulti at this point in the game. That means Unicorns now have quite a big window where Ahri is not that strong, and they're starting this fight. Alfari has TP though. Where's the ward he can go through? There's a ward right in front of him.
There is indeed. Curtain Call is pulled. Cacao is the target. He's locked down by the Nether Grasp. Ignor's going to get a knock-up onto Exile. Exile's being tagged by the Baron. And with the help of Baron, Alfari gets a kill. Unicorns peel away.
And where Misfits are really good at disengaging from Baron and taking the fight, Unicorns stayed on the Baron for too long. Alfari's ulti here was fantastic as well, hitting multiple members. And everything is slowed down, but again, Unicorns does have the scaling. They have the double Infernal Drake. They will maybe even get a second Mountain Drake. Like, you literally cannot ask for better dragons, because you need the Mountain Drakes to get the Baron and the turret. So they stay on it. They see Misfits. Now you need to disengage, but they stay just slightly too long, and that actually allows Ignor to tag Exile near the Baron itself, and he's still tanking it. No flash on Orianna, no way out. You have to respect that. And that's why Exile goes down. Great ulti again, as I said, from Alfari. Dead even game. But Misfits, they're looking for some of these kills now. double QSS. We're probably going to get one on Kakao as well, and then suddenly it's the Rumble that's your only target.
Dead even game in 23 minutes, but the scaling and the ceiling is higher for Unicorns.
Of course.
If you look at sort of champion for champion, most of them kind of in favor of UOL. The Dragons obviously in their favor. Inhibitor has respawned for Misfits, so that will alleviate some map pressure. But there's no teleport for Alfari, and the rest of Unicorns up in this top half of the map.
Yeah, and the play once again is around Baron. It's actually crazy to think we're only 23 minutes in. I feel like so much has happened that it's like a 40-minute game, but we're back towards this Baron setup. Chachi could sit bot lane right now.
It's a Unicorn special. Control ward in the river bush.
Always sit there. With Malzahar and Ashe and you're ahead, it's definitely fine. But Chachi now could opt in to go bot lane and push with his TP advantage, but he wants to be here in case they create an instant pick, and he doesn't have to wait the 4.5 seconds to teleport. So that's why he's valuing that above actually being a split pushing threat, and they're just looking for this fight.
And Summers already used Edge of Night. It's not going to be available for the ensuing fight. Ignore throws down the ultimate. UOL, they're not done just yet. Chachi continues to advance forward, and his flash is available.
Hylissang has flash as well. He can just go straight in and pick a target, and they can burst down whoever it is. Again, respect the QSS is something Hylissang didn't do last week against G2, but they're going in.
Ashara catches Alfari. Ignore gets a multi-man knockup. That's buying time. Power of Evil's flanking around the sides. QSS comes up. They've traded supports. The curtain is pulled backwards, and Samax is sent packing. Kakao forces a flash away from the Unicorns of Love, and Misfits obliterate UOL. Collateral damage from Xerxes gets clean up on the back end. It's a 2 for 3.
That was super important, though, because it might stop Misfits from actually getting anything else with Power Weevil dying. But when we get the replay of this fight, I want everyone to look at Hylissang. Just said before the fight started how he didn't adapt to QSS and things like Tam Kench against G2 in week 5. Same thing here. Alfari is the target. Go for him. Flash in, ult him with Malzahar, but he ends up walking around. It gives time for Alfari to get down his ulti, and then it's too late, and he goes for the target with QSS, the Ahri. That was a big mistake, not to just single out one guy, but Alfari was an easy target to flash ulti right there, burst down the Rumble, he doesn't get to ulti, and you win that fight. He did the most damage as well. That was an opening for Unicorns of Love, and they missed it. And they ended up ulting on the QSS Ahri.
Power of Evil got all his damage down, 1500 to follow. And all of a sudden, the Unicorns of Love losing control of the game. Now, it's been even, right? It's been even, but the map was in favor of UOL thanks to that very, very early inhibitor.
Yeah, and it's still tough for Misfits because they're not far enough ahead to just, like, take a free Baron. Like, again, we're still early on in the game. No one right now can safely just sit in front of this Baron and not take any damage. Kakao is your best bet with his Dead Man's Plate. But Unicorns will get in there, and they will be able to take a fight around it. So it is actually very tricky for Misfits because they're on the clock. They might have to shift focus to Mountain Drake instead and just try and salvage the Drake situation. But again, it's you just invested all your vision on top side. You then got to shift it to bottom side. It might have to be fight your way out.
Well, for UOL, 20 seconds till the next Mountain Drake. They currently have like better positioning in the mid lane and could peel back. If they wanted to clear that Drake out, there would be one more Elemental before the Elder Drake spawns.
They have to fight for this one. If you're Misfits, again, you won't get a better time. There's flash on the carries of Unicorns, though. That is tricky. Hylissang is trying to flank him. Might find Power of Evil.
Yeah, visit Chachi teleporting in from behind. Look at the minimap. Chachi's coming in from the Misfits jungle. He's going to get caught out. Another QSS target. Power of Evil's able to escape. A lot of damage onto UOL. Redemption buys some HP, but that fourth shot is massive. Kakao boots visit Chachi over the wall, and Misfits can't complete a kill.
Another fight here where Alfari's ulti is on point and does so much damage. Really showing the value in taking this pick that is harder to execute. But when you play correctly and you land the ultis, you have so much value in these team fights here. Like, it's an engage on the Power of Evil, correct choice in dashing away, so while Chachi locks him down, no one can follow up, and then Alfari just lays down the ulti and kind of stops Unicorns from actually fighting. No ulti though in this fight here from the Rumble, halfway through the cooldown. Same for Jhin, same for Alistar, same for Ahri. Like, Misfits need to wait. They do not want to fight the next 20, 30 seconds. They need these ultis back up because they're so important for the comp. Alistar ulti, Ahri ulti, Rumble ulti are like super important. They need them ready.
All right, the longer this engage takes, the more likely it is this will be the last Elemental Drake before Elder. That would actually play into UOL's favor if they can get a 36, 37-minute Elder Drake. Looking at ultimates, Enchanted Crystal Arrow. The ECA is going to come up soon. Power of Evil has no QSS. It is still on cooldown. Looking, everybody has their ultimates except for that curtain call. Baron has been started. This could be where it turns.
Oh, Unicorns will have to turn and fight here. Can actually burst it down, Unicorns.
Ash Arrow goes up, Baron's ticking it through. 700 picked up by the Unicorns of Love, but can they win the fight? Ignor's getting bursted down. Unbreakable Will not available to him. They've traded supports and mid laners. Power of Evil being chunked down. Kakao kicks Samux. That gives enough space for Power of Evil to run away. Visit Shachi has no damage to speak of and will slowly get burned down by the Flame Spitter. Not going to be enough for the redemption. 1 for 4. But UOL got Baron.
Yeah, Unicorns, they made the call. Just say, burst it and finish it. So many teams would have started Baron and then turned and taken the fight. But by them staying in the pit and actually killing Baron, they allowed Misfits to get close. Another Rumble ulti comes down. Engages from Power of Evil from the side. And then suddenly you're stuck as a group near this Baron. And you just can't get out and you lose the fight. Top lane wave hadn't been taken care of. Been slow pushing for Misfits for a long time, and that results in 2 towers as well. Now they just gotta make sure they don't get caught out.
Yeah, Crystal Arrow coming from base. I think Power of Evil can sidestep that so easily. And Misfits get their hands on their first dragon. Kakao and Ignor about to secure that. Next one is Elder 35. That's the only hope here for UOL.
And this is just a situation where I felt like Unicorns actually had the advantage. Again, the scaling, the drakes, everything. And then they take a massive risk. This is a massive risk, even if they get the Baron, because you allow 5 members of Misfits to get close to 5 grouped up Unicorns players. And now they can't team fight because they don't know where people are coming from. It's flanks left and right. Rumble ulti comes down, forcing you to move backwards as well. And it's like you are in control. You have great scaling, you have everything you need to win the game. Risking it on this all-in Baron is not necessary. And this wave obviously have been pushing from Misfits for such a long time. If you just slow down there...
Holy moly.
Yeah, this guy on Rumble, you know, it's not quite...
Actually, that might be more damage than the entire Unicorn squad. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
Alfari dealt more damage in that fight than the entire Unicorns team.
Unicorns couldn't hit anyone. They were literally just saying, like, we got Baron, get out, or we're all dead.
Now, I did say a moment ago that that was the last hope for your
send in the face checker.
I think that's a little unfair. It is still only a 2,000 gold difference. Unicorns still have 2 additional dragons and a powerful teamfight comp if they can find the right team fights.
Which they should be able to still, despite Misfits getting a bit of an advantage, not a huge one, but a bit of an advantage in the last few minutes. Getting that mounted Drake as well and so on. Unicorns will still have a lot of openings in this game to get the correct team fight.
Samux, where is the support? I'm waiting to see who can deliver the shockwave. Deadly Flourish from Hans Summer finds no targets, and it's just a safe, slow play here from UOL.
Yeah, and remember again, with the QSSs, it gets hard for Samux to kind of hit the right arrow. Alistar as well with his ulti to counter it. There's very few members you can actually hit.
But you need to burn through the QSS and then follow it up,
Of course. If you can time it with Chachi TPing in, you land the arrow that forces a QSS and then your fight starts. That's perfect for Unicorns of Love. That's enough. But that requires Chachi to get TP flanks. And he's been running with the team a lot. He's not been controlling a side lane with this Maokai at all. Just keeping it even or slow pushing it. He's actually just kind of sitting as a 5-man unit, trying to then force fights that way.
All right, we go flash forward. That's
on the Rumble.
Fari's
there
down.
We go.
Never gets to Hourglass. This is more of the Unicorns that we're expecting to see. Look at that. 3-man knockup. Samux and Hylissang are getting destroyed. Redemption buys a few extra seconds before Samux is killed. Now Ignor's tagged up. Malefic Visions is spreading and bouncing and bopping. Power of Evil gets shut down by the collateral damage. Unicorns fight to the death, and they kill Misfits along the way.
We had that fight earlier where Hylissang did not ulti Alfari. Well, he just made up for it right now. Great flash in onto the member without QSS, instantly to kill the Rumble. That's enough then to take mid inhib, bot inhib as well. And it's still looking fine if you are the Unicorns of Love.
And this is the kind of game that you actually expected once you saw the drafts. Slightly stronger early game for Misfits. A team fight in the mid game at 15, 16, 17 minutes. Opens an inhib for UOL. And look at this, using that Baron buff, ground empowered minions and just comboing their engage.
Yeah, it's just a flash in on the target that can't really do anything against it. Like, Hourglass doesn't work if you are CC'd the entire duration. This is a good setup from Ignar and Power of Evil, but they just do not get down Hylissang, and they haven't really touched Xerxes or Exile at this point, and that's why Unicorns can still turn it around. And this tank in the front line now is in a perfect position. Doesn't even care about the tower. Oh, Alfari, bruh, you were so good.
I think they're doing this on purpose. I think our graphics guys are just like, yeah, Alfari's the best, 6,000. Alfari's the best at nothing, 0. Oh, but it's one-sided team fights. That's what it boils down to. Misfits had a turn winning fights, Unicorns had a turn winning fights, and now Unicorns have supers in 2 lanes. Yep. Baron in a minute 25, Elder 30 seconds after that.
I just love when it comes down to like that key target selection. Like, if Power of Evil gets on to like Exile in a fight, he can basically one-shot him, win the fight for his team. If Unicorns can target Alfari early with Ash Arrow, Malza ulti, whatever it is, and take him down fast, suddenly the fight is in their favor.
Surely Ash's value goes up. You assume Varus obviously #1, but you don't give Samux another Ash game if they close this out when you go to game 3.
Well, I think overall Misfits had the tools with their comps to win. Alfari definitely showed a good performance. So did Power of Evil. But they simply couldn't get the same snowball going as in the first game. Like, Unicorns reacted better this time around. We have to say that. And they've now been able to kind of match, especially a lot of the fights. I think if I want to question something, then maybe the Alistar. Being like, you could have had maybe a better bot lane setup to play around.
Let's take a look. Engage from the curtain call. Cacao landed the first Sonic Wave, but didn't follow it through. Second is sidestepped, and Alfari shooting out those Electro Harpoons over and over. Cacao's Lee Sin not finding the kickbacks. Super Minions doing work on Nexus turret #1. That's actually going to knock it over before anyone from Misfits can reply. There is a teleport for Alfari. Baron has spawned. 25 to Elder. Unicorns, the Rift is your platter. Pick what you want and take it.
Yeah, if you do start the Baron as Unicorns, then be ready to turn. It doesn't matter if you kill the Baron but then die after. Take the fight instead.
Those are sentences I like to hear. Fight, fight, fight. Cacao is locked down by the Nether Grasp, but he's going to get shut down. Dashes away from the Spirit Rush of Power of Evil. Cacao's the first of the fight. Baron helping out Misfits, making up for the fact Cacao's not there. Now Misfits being tagged. Shockwave pulls Ignar backwards, but Exile's down. Misfits with a triple kill, and Misfits all of a sudden win the fight.
Oh man, this game is crazy, honestly.
Baron hurts, people. Baron hurts.
We need to see again what happened there, because Cacao went down, and then suddenly Xerxes was fighting 1v2 to the side. Let's just wait for the replay before we say anything. Another Nexus turret dying.
Yeah, the Winions in favor of UOL. The last time Unicorns went to push an exposed Nexus, it didn't end well for them.
So they started the Baron. Chachi's sitting and zoning here, so they go on to Cacao, and then look on the right side. Power of Evil and Alfari coming in. That means they're actually fighting away from a tank, and Xerxes thought he could one-shot Power of Evil. Suddenly he drops low, and there is no one defending the flank on the side of Unicorns because Chachi was so busy in the choke point. And that allowed these different carries from Misfits to actually get enough damage onto multiple members.
I think Baron hit 4 or 5 auto attacks.
Baron was a busy
onto
in this game.
Xerxes.
Oh.
I don't know. That wasn't happiness. That wasn't happiness.
It was, I died, but my team did well, kind of thing. So I'm happy, but not like super
Hey,
happy.
we're playing that minigame where Alfari all of a sudden looks good again. Unicorns of Love. They've decided to start Baron while the rest of Misfits have to clear out the base, and that's easily secured by Unicorns this time round.
Yeah, you can step out of your base to try and stop a Baron while you still have Nexus turrets, because you have a bit of time while they die. When you don't have the Nexus turrets and there are 2 lanes of super minions coming, then you gotta respect that. And Misfits had to just give up this Baron here. Elder Drake alive as well. Will they get both buffs with double Infernal? It's the dream for any carry right now. Baron, Elder, Infernals, everything you need. Let's see Exile before Infernal Drake is sitting on 537 AP. Eldrake pops him up to 580 AP. So it's about 40.
Pretty good jump.
On top of it.
Pretty good jump. That is a beefy front line. Maokai, 3,500 HP, 200 armor, 144 magic resist before his ultimate damage reduction. And there's 2 exposed inhibitors for Unicorns to, in my opinion, waltz in and knock over. Charm is not going to find a target. Curtain Call.
Buys time.
Barely hurting Vizicachi.
Yeah, it's really hard now because Misfits need to use the base gates with Alistar and Ari to get them in a proper position. You can see Ignor down here to the right is trying to kind of get the flank going on Kakao.
Kakao's the target. His Banshee's Veil was popped. Does have a GA. That's an ultimate used at least. Power of Evelyn Kakao gonna get the heal. Ignor finds a great knockup. Look at that equalizer. Redemption of Unicorn South. Hylissang and Samix running for their lives. Somehow Samix survives. Hilly loses his life. Trading it for Ignor's. 1-for-1. Vizicachi on the front foot. Rushing all the way forward. GA from Alfari is popped as Chachi locks down Hansama. There's not a lot of damage left for Misfits. Unicorns have done it. They've killed Misfits. It's only Power of Evil remaining. And Unicorns are on the Nexus.
Baron buff, Elder Drake, too much for Misfits to deal with, and Unicorns of Love tie the series. And I'm play-by-play now.
Whoa, that was close. That was back and forth. At different points in the game, either team could have won.
Trev, it's been a very entertaining day if you're a League of Legends fan. From waking up at 9 in the morning to watch LCK, fantastic series first. This one, in my opinion, is extremely entertaining as well, and we see some good plays. Without obviously saying it is.
Look, you have to appreciate the quality of the games within the respective regions.
Yes, and this, I think, has been a very good series in Europe.
What I liked about this game too was how both team compositions clearly demonstrated their strengths and their weaknesses, and how, as the game went on, Unicorns found that team fighting prowess that we have praised them on more than maybe we should, but like, because we keep saying it over and over and over, but it keeps being true.
I mean, it's been the thing for Unicorns of Love, so of course we have to keep talking about it, but I really like how we talked about, you know, early on in the game, how they're drafting so much scaling. Can they now survive the early game? Clearly, Sheepy and the guys, they were like, yeah, you know what? We made some mistakes in the first game. We can fix those, and we can still draft for late game and actually get past that early game. And they did do that in this game here. They got to late game, they got all the Drakes, they got turrets. Yeah. They actually had everything going in favor of them, except for like that one Baron fight.
Especially when you consider that early game tower dive. That really put them behind. Yeah. Misfits played it well. Anyways, we've got a tie in the standoff between the Unicorns of Love and Misfits. Let's head over to the analyst desk to break down game number 2.
Thank you so much, and I'm very glad this is turning into all 3 games in a series, going all the way, because that second game was a joy to watch. However, again, for the Unicorns of Love, it didn't start off great, and we were afraid that they would fall into the same patterns because Misfits again burst onto the Rift of the Plan.
And they did very well playing around Xerxes for a second game in a row. A lot of the plays that Misfits were making was from spotting Xerxes. You see, he spotted on the top side. This starts the trade in bot lane that would draw the summoners away from the Unicorns, and this happened a second time on that dive into the bot lane because the TP gets used top side. There's no ability to respond from Vizicachi. Rumble didn't use his TP before this play, and then the setup is fairly straightforward. As you see the roam down from mid lane that's about to come, Misfits are already setting up for the dive.
Yeah, so Misfits are obviously showing that they work really well as a unit across the map. They get teleport advantage, they leverage that bot. There's a small misplay here, but again, Summoner's already burned. And what I like the most is that Ignor will only go aggressive when he has knowledge of the enemy jungler, because this matchup is very swingy. Alistar is supposedly losing pick to Malzahar because of push, but the way the kit works, because of the combo is being spaced out between Q and E right now, there's a lot of kind of outplay potential. If you go close to Malzahar, knock him and the Void Links up so they can't reproduce either, you have actually a lot of good all-in with Jhin W. Now, you can never do that, obviously, if the jungler's waiting in the brush, so Ignor's patience really paid off in that initial combo, get the summoner, as Stress pointed out, and then they return to bot lane. So that was all really well played by Misfits, and it looked like another game that was going well for them.
It went well for them. The only difference was where there was a 4K gold lead at 10 minutes in game one. This time it was more even. It wasn't that extreme. So what did you see out of the Unicorns to kind of halt the snowball early?
Well, there were a couple of team fights early on before any Baron shenanigans. We had the bot lane one at 18 minutes where Unicorns took the inhib very fast, and that allowed them to have this good basis for team fighting where without a good flank from Power of Evil, Misfits were struggling to get the engage working.
So Unicorns, fantastic team fight there. They get the inhib, then they set up the Nasher. So there was only one play to make. For Misfits, is kind of to break that and hold on as long as they can. They actually funneled so much farm in that bot lane from that inhib into Alphari, and this was a team fight the casters were kind of like fawning over. He was doing so much damage. Beautiful entry here with the plant as well from Power of Evil, and they punish the Unicorns for committing for this Nasher. At this point, it all looked great again for Misfits, but then gladly for us in this series, we saw some of the strengths of the Unicorns shine through later in the game with some decisive team fighting.
And this is the kind of situation later and later into the game. A lot of people were talking about Maokai and the nerfs that happen on this patch. Doesn't matter at this point later on.
Yeah.
He's so tanky, he's so beefy that picks like Ahri, for the most part, picks like Rumble really struggle to chunk through that, even with double magic pen items. So difficult to deal with, and that's what we ended up seeing again later, 32 minutes into the game. Unicorns, what do you know? It's another team fight that goes their way with this Maokai composition. Because on this one, they're stepping up to the turret, and you've got to look at where Power of Evil can actually enter this fight. The same with Igna. They get Alphari early on, kill him without any opportunity to respond, and then Igna comes in. Yeah, he gets a nice knockup. There is damage coming through, but already Unicorns are reacting.
It's a slight overreach, and this is actually really hard to play, because Misfits was playing these fights incredibly well the entire game. This was the first time they kind of messed up because they were going for a 3-point flank where you have Power Evil from the left side, Igna from the top side, and then Alphari from the bottom side. If they can all commit at the same frame, Rumble ulti goes down into Zhonya's. Like, you just have a barbecue. Unicorns, like, they're screwed at that point. The problem is, the counter to any flank is hard engage, and this time Hillsang found it.
He did find it, and this is what we always say, he keeps doing it, and this time it was appropriate.
Yeah, and this time the guy didn't have a QSS, and he had a Zhonya's that he couldn't use, and this time it was good, so this is what we need to see more from the Unicorns, and hopefully this can be a morale boost so they can bounce back.
So TLDR, stop the bleeding early or make them bleed instead, because we see for Misfits, if they got a huge lead like in game one, they already draw it out before they can end, but if they're equal, it's of course much harder still.
Yeah, a lot harder, and you know the man on your screen, Xerxes, we just saw he didn't die in that game. I mean, I had some criticism about picking a farming jungler, and we were talking about the early game. I mean, in this game, it certainly showed why it can still work for the Unicorns. They maintained a fairly even game for a long time here. So the fact that Xerxes could then output damage in team fights, have a front line in front of them, made for actually a good basis for the Unicorns.
All right, well, we'll see what happens in game three. We'll disappear for 3.5 minutes, but when we come back, the decider between Misfits and the Unicorns of Love. Stick around.